Three, two, we're live.
Jabbiloota koo yaa jabbiloota odaa jalaa kan nama nyaatu nu keessa jiran. Jabbiloota koo yaa jabbiloota odaa jalaa kan nama nyaatu nu keessa jiran. Amaaloo. Masangama bambatu talba faca bakatati tokko du'e tokko taa'u wal gaggala bakatati emulee agarbatiisa waan ofii maaltu gadhiisa masangama bambatu talba faca bakatati tokko nyaatee tokko taa'u wal gaggala bakataati emulee agarbatiisa waan ofii maaltu gadhiisa masangama lafan baatu.
Dubbii Oromoo viewers, welcome to the show worldwide. May peace be upon all of you. Today having a special guest, Mickey Tigray, representing the Tigray region. Mickey, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you for having me, Essay.
For sure. Today we're going to talk about the Oromo and the Tigray's common causes.
Did I pronounce your name very well? Essay.
Yeah.
How you...
Ace, you can say AC.
Okay. Essay. Okay.
Yeah. And then Jiru, and then you're Mickey Tigray, all in English, so no problem.
Whatever it is, Mickey Tigray now. So we're heading to the wall.
For sure. This is Dubbii Oromoo. Dubbii Oromoo means Oromo affairs. This is where we talk about Oromo affairs.
Also, Dubbii is affair.
Right. Dubbii means his affair. Oromo is Oromo, as you know. So it's the Oromo affair.
So we will have another Dubbii Tigray, which is...
That's right. So we're going to have Dubbii Tigray and Dubbii Oromo together today.
Yeah, exactly.
Do we have anything in common with Tigray to fight Ethiopia, the problematic Ethiopia? From the start, Ethiopia was a problem.
Yeah, of course we do. It is all the way. It's about the same thing. As a nation, we aspire for the same freedom, which is... Oromo nation, then Tigray nation. That's what we've been asking for generations. Well,
for sure.
Was there subjugation or subjugating all the Oromo people at the same time, the Tigray people? So there are so many parallels, so many similarities, including our aspiration, our hope, and our quest for freedom.
For sure.
No question.
For sure. I just ask the viewers to share, comment, and follow, and participate with us. If you guys have any question for Mickey too, you can ask through the comments, and I'll bring that question to him. As we discuss this conversation, you guys can participate, be part of the show as well. So, Mickey, to begin, can you let our viewers know? Can you tell us about yourself? Who are you? Can you introduce yourself? What you have done? If you have done anything in Ethiopian politics, if you directly participate in the politics or in the military or anywhere, can you tell us about yourself?
Sure. Well,
as a new guest, they don't know you yet on this show, at least.
Yeah, they sent me, so that's what I'm doing right now. So let me share it first.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, I would love to share my story. Actually, it's all a common story with all Ethiopians. Mickey Tagadala. Tagadala is Tagadala, I don't know, in Oromo language, what you call like a fighter. I used to remember when we moved from Tigray to the Amhara region during the Derg regime, which is before 91 or 1991. So we went to Amhara region. We call it like a Wafr Salam, which is Operation Peace. Then once we went to all the way from Amhara to Wallaga, we called it Walkituma and Bilisuma. I remember that very clear. I think it is like what freedom and equality. Is that what it is?
Right. Right.
Yes. So I joined the TPLF when I was young, way before 1991. So I fought alongside with TPLF for 2-3 years, or 3 years, I think, before we controlled Addis Ababa and defeated the Derg regime. So I was a fighter. I was an operator during the fight. So like you see now, the OLA kind of fighters. So we had the trade on, so the same kind of characteristics. And we had all those wars, battlefields, all that stuff. Then eventually I became a commando, 1990 or 82 Ethiopian calendar, which is 1 year prior to getting to Addis as a TPLF.
Right. Like 92 area.
A commando designed to control Addis and for the security issues, all that stuff. So we were trained for 6 months by the ex or captured Derg commandos and airborne. Can you imagine? We captured them in a war, then we make them our trainees. Trainers. And one of them was not Abadullah. Abadullah was a soldier, of course. Well, one of the prisoners of war. But give me Jula. Burhanu Jula was one of them. Can you imagine? He trained our commandos. So
wait. You guys captured Burhanu Jula and then you guys used him to train you guys after it?
Exactly. He was a commando trainer. And Eastern Tigray, now they are bombarding at this time. So he was there in person and he trained us. Look at this. We captured him, then he became our trainer. Then we enlisted him as a soldier. He became an officer. Now he's a general. Then he's bombarding Tigray at this age after 30 years. Can you imagine how time changes, how things change? So then we advanced to Addis. Well, as like any fighter, a TPLF fighter, came to Addis. We controlled Addis Ababa. So my unit, a commando unit, was on the areas of Bole, which is all high officials of Derg used to live or reside. Then we searched all the houses, all that stuff. My unit stayed particularly at the vice president's house. So by then it was Fasadesta, happened to be a Tigray, which is from Adwa. Look at this. So we stayed there. Then when we complete our mission in that area, then we moved to the palace. Meles came because Meles was in London prior to Addis on negotiation with the Turks. While they were negotiating, we captured Addis. So everything was finished. So he came back to the palace. Then as a commandos, we moved to the palace. Then we took over the palace. Then eventually I became the bodyguards. Enlisted bodyguards, about, 40 or 30 of us. So I was one of them. I became a Meles's bodyguard. So you see this picture here is young me.
That's the young you.
84 Ethiopian calendar. So imagine, that was about 29 years ago.
Wow.
We controlled Addis.
That's like 1993, 92, 93. You became the bodyguard for the palace.
There you go. That's what happened. And I stayed there until the constitution took place, so which is took effect 1987 around.
While you were a bodyguard for Mullas, who were like the top Oromos he was meeting with?
Lencholata, and of course it was Nagaso Gidada was with us. I remember Lencho was close.
I thought Lencho was his enemy. I thought him and Lencho don't meet after 91.
No, they had
this guy
would come just sporadically, maybe more often. Can you imagine? I think by then the OLF leader, the chairman, was somebody else. I think it was what was his name?
Nagaso Gidada?
No. Nagaso was OLF. I mean Opidio. Or OLF.
Oh,
I think it
Galasso
was
Dilba, I meant. Galasso
is
Dilba?
it
Yeah, Galasa.
Galasa Dilma, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, you got
I
it
think
right. Yeah.
who refused to speak Amharic. By then, we were wondering, can you imagine, we are Tagars, we didn't even know Amharic because the complete TPLF fighters, which is about 60 to 100,000 people, we were all Tigray.
Wow.
But by then, he was not, well, he refused to talk in Amharic. There was a chapter before the constitution. Actually, they were in the parliament too. So there were ministers in there.
What do you think what do you think he refused to speak in Amharic?
Yeah, the OLF chairman never spoke Amharic, actually. There was a chapter, that chapter for the, during the transitional government. So there was a meeting, always he would speak Oromo or English. Can you imagine? And I knew now he was right.
A real leader is supposed to keep it like that, but Galasa Dilba has a lot of respect amongst Oromos for keeping his integrity. But it's the other one, it's Lencho, the one that sold us out.
Lencho was a turnaround. It's a kind of a turncoat. So he was very
turncoat. That's right. That's what
charismatic, all that stuff. He was friends with Meles, but I don't think afterwards I found him. Oh, he was not reliable. So he switched all the time. That's what happened. But Nagaso was OPD also. Nagaso.
Yeah, Nagaso was OPD also.
The other guy, Kumade Meksa, was the other one. And eventually I became a commando trainer myself, like Burhanu Jula used to be.
Wow.
Then, we were close to what Abdullah Gameda. I think he was the training department chief by then.
Right.
Then eventually, yes, that is what happens afterwards. Or after that, I became an activist for Tigray or Tigray cause. Now we're fighting, and we find me now guys fighting for survival.
When did you leave that military service?
2000, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, I was in training for a year.
Lencho Lata is certified snake in the Oromo politics, so we don't have problem with him anymore because he's a snake. Anything he says in Oromo politics, we do not believe him anymore. So we're cleaning up a lot. We're keeping our Oromo camp in the Topanis camp clear, because as you know, like that child out of wedlock, the child that doesn't have father, anybody that meets his mother is his father.
Exactly.
The Oromo PDOs are like that. Whomever grabs Ethiopia is their father. They're ready to serve them, just like Branu Jula was ready to serve you guys at the airport. As soon as Mengistu flew out of the country, Branu Jula, Abadula, Nagaso Gidada, people like that, we don't really think they're Oromo, but they're ready to serve whomever is their next father.
Exactly. They are enslaved. They serve mentality and the other Amhara mentality, as we call it, man. Well, so you cannot trust them. It's very sad. So they follow the flow. They were even the TPLF's puppets, actually. So they turned now against TPLF. Whoever comes, master. That's what they do. So
to clear up some of the clouds, because Lencho only confessed one time that since 1991 that he met with Mallas only one time. He confessed that only that he went back and met him one time. From 91 to 2000, while you were bodyguard for Mallas, has Lencho ever visited Mallas more than one time?
I certainly could be a witness every single day, maybe every second day you could say, if not every single day. We went even together to Maqala. Can you imagine? During this day, when Mallas spoke on the 17th anniversary of the TPLF, which is Lakatat, we call it. So he was there, and we were there for a week. Went together to Hagar Salam, which is in Tembin, which is the war zone right now. He saw the base of the TPLF. Lunch, I was there with Mallas all the time. He was his what do you call bag holder? So, well, it was very close. I'm telling you, it was his second house, his second home, the palace.
Yeah, to the point he's even ranked as the #1 snake.
Yeah, I know. And he said only once. Goddamn right.
He is the #1 snake in Oromo politics.
No.
But
nope. because if you remember during the transitional government, those 4 or
Right.
5 years before the constitution took effect, OLF was part of the government. You remember that?
Right.
They even had position, I think 4 or 5 ministerial positions. Education minister, I think, well, some of those. So it is obvious that they were close to Meles, which is they had even shared power at the same time until they had their differences, then went to war altogether. So against each other. That was a great mistake, I would say, in the part of the PLF, at the same time OLF. So they should have worked it out. Then they should have paved Ethiopia that is suitable to Tigray and to Oromo. But
For
unfortunately, we followed the wrong path. Then that wrong path took us to this cliff.
For sure. Before we dive into the first segment of our discussion today, there's a question that this is really the only like main problem between Tigray and Oromo. 1991. This is the question that I put it at the bottom from Oriana Danche. So 1991, Malla Zenawi gave Oromos bad faith negotiation. So he let the Oromos go into the camp and he authorized the white guys to bomb them. So
Yes,
that
what
Mallas
happened
can take,
is,
so that Mallas can take power. So basically this question down here, you know, that decision is, I guess that decision is heavier than the Tigray made the decision. It wasn't technically all Tigray, or it wasn't all Mallas who made the decision. It's a playbook given to him and saying, if you go throughout this playbook, you can have power in East Africa. If you don't go throughout this playbook, we will find somebody else to take this playbook.
yes,
So
but
here he's saying, why you guys deny OLF army and then massacre them after you all disarmed them, put them in camp?
okay, I would answer that, but it has to be clear that we have to make a separation between OLF and the Oromos, TPLF and the Tigray. These are two different things. So OLF is a political party or like faction party, and then TPLF is the same. So they were all at odds because of the power grab, I guess. I would say
Right.
that. And the other thing, Meles, I think as TPLFs, we were nationalist parties, or our aspiration or our need or our goal was giving answer to Ethiopian to the questions of nations and nationalities, which never been answered, of course, never been solved before. But unfortunately, this political wrangling, I wasn't in the political rank anyways. I was a bodyguard by then, so which means nobody. So what they do behind the doors, we don't know. But as a person, if you ask me, to my understanding, even at then, I would hope both would work out, share power according to their numbers, whatever it is, or according to the seniority that they put into the fight against Dirk. So that's what happened to TPLF, because the dominance of TPLF, well, 90% of the force were in the northern Ethiopia, which is in Tigray. We destroyed that and followed to came to Addis. So TPLF took credit of winning the biggest portion. I think that's what happened. Then finally, OLF came, which was in Western Wallaga. I think that was the base. Then they tried to share power. But the problem is how to, they had both armies. I think about 60,000 for OLF, maybe 60 to 80 or 100,000 for TPLF by then. So the agreement was OLF.
The OLF was 150,000 in count, but there is additional 60,000 plus. So we got close to 200,000 men that were part of the fight. Yeah.
Okay, it could be. So I think what I knew was 60,000 armed forces in a camp. That's what I knew. So the cadres and the political brass, everything. So it could be about 200,000. But the thing is, to my
those are the well organized one, right?
Exactly. So, but to my understanding, that was wrong. Fighting with OLF was the biggest mistake that TPLF made, I would think. So I think Meles shouldn't go that way. What happened in between that took them or lead them to the fight, I would not know what is happening until today. But the problem is probably OLF was inclined or into secessionist kind of approach, I would say. And the TPLF was, until controlling power or overthrowing Mengistu, it was national cost. Then Meles was, I don't know how, like you said, maybe the white man or Herman Cohen or America. I don't think that's the case, but they believe one Ethiopia should be in the hand of the PLF. So the PLF thought Empire Ethiopia, or like they say all the time, one economic society building in Ethiopia, which is, there is no secessionist, there is nothing. TPLF dropped all those questions along the way, then it became a ruler itself. So as a TPLF, not only as a TPLF, it's all, I mean, a PRDF, which is substitute OLF with, what do you call the OPDO. So OPDO was another partner with TPLF that fought, was established a year before we control Addis, I think. So what happened is OLF or OPDO became the representative or the
Oromo.
Yes, exactly. That's how. Well, of course, it's ready-made. TPLF had a biggest hand to create it all the way. That's the problem. Well, it could be a puppet, of course. OLF was another entity, but OPDO was another puppet. So then, what is the understanding with PRDF was is OPDO was part of it. Then OLF was the dispensable or whatever you call it. Then they told them to integrate into Ethiopian society, which is disarm your armies, all that stuff, then you become a political entity. Exactly what happened during Abiy when OLF came to Addis from Eritrea, which is Obodaud Ibsa. So that's how Jalmora went to Wallaga, whatever it is. Imagine, they came with their arms, then Abiy Ahmed asked them, disarm. Then they said, no, why not? Well, we have to know what is happening. So we have to know our place in Ethiopian politics. Then it led to the fight right now, what is happening. So the same happened in 1994, whatever, 1993, 1992 with Meles and OLF. So it's not Tigray's cost. We don't have to frame it that way. It is Tigray versus Oromo.
I think that question is more of a bigger setup. Then I don't think you guys are soldiers. We're not even aware what they were negotiating in Europe when they call up Mallas, when they call up Lencho. That's why we were blindsided too. The Oromo soldiers were blindsided because Lencho was never telling them what the white guys were gonna do. But to focus on today's question, what are Oromo and Tigray common causes? Do we have any common causes? Because right now what it looks like is that Mallas in them. So the Oromo Opidios or the Oromo Gobanas, those are children out of wedlock that belongs to the Amara region. They're not really Oromos. We don't take them. They're not us. They always work against the Oromo wishes. People like Abiy, like Abadullah, all these Opidios. So these are Amara children that pretend to be like Oromos.
Yes.
Your leader Mallas took them, used them for 27 years. Now those children are bombing you guys. They're not technically Oromo. Abiy and them are not technically Oromo. So they're bombing you guys. And these Amara children has been a real problem for us, the Oromo nation. So they've been a problem for us for 150 years.
The same was for Tagaro as well.
They've been a problem for you guys as part of Amaras being a problem for you guys. By assisting Amaras, they've been a problem for you guys too. Now, in the last 2 years, they became a real problem for you guys.
A threat, not only a problem.
A threat. Yeah, these Amara children is what we call them. Amara children from wedlock is what we call these Opidios. And those who claim to be so clean, like Lenjo Lata, who it took us 10 years to find out how bad of a snake are they in our Oromo politics. So it takes time, but we find out who are all the snakes. We'll find all of them. Now that the common cause of Tigray and Oromo is these bare childrens, is these puppet childrens, is these children raised by the Amara ideology, and all they're trying to do is sell Menelik ideology of one man rules Ethiopia, one man dominates East Africa on behalf of the name Habashi.
Yeah.
They call it Habasha, but they don't tell us how to speak, so we call them Habashi. The way it sounds perfect to us. So we call them Habashi. So all these Habashis collectively become the common cause against the Oromo and the Tigray. Would you agree that?
Yes, I do. Well, we always had in common, actually. So the mistake was the fight. I do object that that was the wrongest, the wrong turn that PRDF took. Fighting or dismantling OLF was against the interest of Tigray. So it went against the interest of Tigray, and it stayed with the Shoah mentality, which is OPDO and the Amhara parties, all that stuff, which is those should not be strategic allies. Strategic ally from the beginning should have been the OLF. Look at this, because we had the same aspiration. We had national quest for the Oromo and for Tigray. That's how TPLF was established. That's how OLF was established. Oromo Liberation Front and Tigray Liberation Front. That's what we were. So we always had the common aspiration and common question. But the problem was on the political brass. So they took it in a wrong way, then they eat each other. That's how the communist parties and the political parties in Africa, what happened with Abiy is the same thing. He dismantled the TPLF and is after TPLF now. So that's what TPLF did 30 years against OLF. So that was a mistake, and it went against its own natural interest. We had always the same aspiration.
When Tigray nationalists say Mallas attacking the OLF was a mistake, we believe it. I believe it. Why?
Yeah.
Because Eritrea and Amara.
It's not because I'm trying to Oromos. It is because it went against our interest. Well.
Naturally, looking at it, Amara, the Amara and the Eritrea cause how much they hate you guys, how much they want to, make Tigray disappear off the map.
Yes.
That naturally tells you that you needed OLF, but you hit OLF. So that was a big mistake. That was a big mistake. Mallas will take to his grave.
Yeah.
Right. Because
hitting the gun is the problem. So
even Abiy today thinks the Amara region will have more manpower and they will have more resources for the manpower. But it's going to be the Oromo region that he's going to need the most.
Of course.
Manpower and the resources that sustain those men comes from the Oromo region. Then we know Tigray would not keep up that 2 years of war with Eritrea back in 1998, 99, the 2000. If it's not for the manpower that they extracted out of Oromia and the resources for that manpower that they extracted out of Oromia. In the same way, the Amara militias now are living off the Oromo region resources. That's why they're able to wage war on everybody. They wage war on the Benshangul, on the Oromo, and on the Tigray, on all fronts. They wage war at the same time. It's because they're not producing the resources themselves. So all these financial aid that went to Ethiopia is going into this Amara's militia. Why do you think Abiy is using the Amara militias instead of the Ethiopian army?
Well, it's a two-way. Abiy is using the Amhara militias because the Amhara elite always thinks united Ethiopia as an option. So it always denies nations and nationalists' existence. So this mentality, the Amharas need Abiy to do or to lead them towards that. That's the thing. Mengistu Haile Mariam, he was supported by the Amhara elite. You know that. Imagine why? Because he always chants one Ethiopia. He doesn't care about the people. He doesn't care about the Oromo question. He doesn't care about nations and nationalities. Abiy is the same. So they need each other. The Amhara elite needs one Ethiopia that squished everybody in order it asserts its power to live in anywhere it wants in Ethiopia, extract, including, like you said, resources.
Usually the Amara elites in this Ethiopian camp, they usually use the poor to keep advancing their cause, so they can maintain the push for that Ethiopianist Amara that they're looking for, while using the Oromo youth in the war.
Yes.
The new challenge is that, do you think if Amara and Abiy, the Ethiopian government, give a gun to a Benshangul 18-year-old, you think that 18-year-old is gonna go fight for them, or he's gonna join the opposition?
Well,
With an 18-year-old Oromo guy, if Abiy gives him a gun, would he go join the Oromo Liberation Army instead of fighting for him?
I think I would say they would fight or join with the Oromo Liberation Army.
Right.
The same goes with Tigray. So nobody is going to join Abiy to hit against its own people. In Tigray, the same thing. In Oromo, the same thing. Well,
right.
Prior taking action or invading Tigray, well, they invaded Oromia, you know that. So that's Western Wallaga. They were bombarding the whole year, imagine, with no telecommunication, with no anything. So already they killed the Oromo people. Now they're victims too as well. 30 to 40,000 people are in prison. Look,
right.
The political leader, Oromo nationalism. So they are killing Oromo nationalism. So in order to advance one Ethiopia mentality, we call it Astagar Shua mentality. So that means, of course, Amhara, elite mentality.
Only the Amharas would do it, exactly.
The Amhara are feeding or supporting Abiy because they think he would advance what they want to assert onto continue the status quo that Menelik gave them in one country, which is they enslave everybody, that extracting everything. And
that is status quo.
Because he knew they want that. Then that's how he wants to become the seventh king, whatever illusion it is. So they're supporting each other. But if you ask 18 years old Oromo youth, so he rather join the OLA, which liberates Oromo, not liberates the killers. The same goes to Tigray. The same goes to Benshangul. So the Amhara elite is an enemy of everybody at this point.
Everybody in the region.
Exactly.
Everybody in the region.
I think we have to make a distinction. Amhara people, Amhara Oromo, Tigray people, we have to put them, take them out of the equation. It is the Amhara elite that is disseminating the Amhara people. You know that. Over 10
100%.
million people. Yeah, over 10 million people.
Even when Mallas was dominating, 85% of the Ethiopian bureaucracy benefited Amhara. This means that most of the people getting the government paycheck, 85% of Ethiopia's government paycheck goes to the Amhara people, benefits the Amhara people.
True.
That's why the Amhara people don't want any other language to be spoken in Ethiopia except Amharic. That means every core system, every educational system, every political system, every educational system, they even pushed it. Religions to remain strictly only in Amhara.
Very true.
All of this extracted and natural resources and wealth and domination toward the Amharas.
True.
So the common cause.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Look, what Meles built in Ethiopia was one strong Ethiopia, which is Amhara centrist. It could be purposely or by default, but it was benefiting this Amhara elite, even though they think because Meles was Tigray, they disown him, they despised him. But they were the ones who benefited, so including from Addis Ababa. 60% plus was the Amhara population, including all Oromia, southern Ethiopia. There are 12,000 Amhara population lives in these people. Go Jimma, go Adama or Bishoftu, all that stuff. So they want to even against their own interest for some reason, which is it's a perversion for them, but they need more power. So they think Abiy is temporary. It's a path to their dream to grab power and to destroy all the nations and nationalists federal constitution and make it with one Ethiopia, because they know one religion, one language, one culture would benefit only the Amhara elites. That marginalizes the majority of Oromo, marginalizes the Tagaru, marginalizes the other nations and nationalities. So this is what their calculation is. So even Meles represents TPLF and PRF, speaks Tigrinya, what the policies and what the government and what the structure he made benefit those people. Though they are racist, they said, well, on Tagaros are our enemies, so, which is, imagine it's against their own interest, is what goes wrong. So the Amhara is suicidal, that's what I believe. I don't think it might resurrect and it might reclaim what happened for the past 150 years. So it's impossible from now on. But the common cause for the Oromo and Tigray is the Oromo have national cost. The Tagaros have national cost. What is our national cost? Using our language, our culture, and need more autonomous Tigray. Not only autonomous Tigray, up to secession. It is up to us to decide. So the Oromo believes that way. The OLA believes that way. The Oromo nationalist goes that way. If Ethiopia works as a confederate or confederation, which is in equal representation, including using your resources, using your language, and sharing power, everything, then we could go along with Ethiopia. If not, up to secession. This is what we have in common. Then the Amhara elite and the Shwa mentality, including the Oromo speaking or Oromo names to Zabranu Jula, Abadullah, Abagrababa, Abafandibgar, these are the puppets and the used for the interest of the Amhara, which doesn't represent the Oromo population at large. So that's our common goal or our common connection. Then we have to push towards that past. The past is past. The PLF paid the price, worst price or worst casualties than the OLF. Well, of course, it did OLF as well for 27 years, but now we have another destruction in Tigray. The same way what we did to OLF then happening to us today. So we should not go in a grudge or counting what happens in the past. Now we have to leave it there to be.
For sure. After all, we did it to ourselves. You guys did it to yourself. We believe we did it to ourselves too.
The same thing. Look, you brought the Oromo Kero brought Abiy Ahmed and Lama Magarsa, whatever, at the shoulder of Oromo movement or Oromo protest. Imagine what happened now. It attacked the Oromo, the very Oromo nation itself. What they represent. Imagine what happened to Western Wallaga, what happened in the prisons, what happened, the killings, all that stuff. Look at this. So that was suicidal for the Oromo elite to bring ahead Abiy Ahmed. The same we did in Tigray. TPLF pushed for the centralization of Ethiopia was a disaster, and we paid the price. Now we are equal. So fast forward or forward. Where do we go from here? We have to take hand to hand.
How do we go from here? That is the next topic. So the past mistake we made was we raised an Amhara child without checking his birth certificate, thinking that that child was an Oromo child. We made that mistake. You took that child and you trained him to be a killer, and then he came and killed you after that.
Exactly.
But now, but now in the future, you would say we want to eliminate the snakes. You guys want to. You guys do very good job. I know that Ratizon is an excellent leader. He eliminated already 6 snakes, according to the rumors that I heard. Yes. You know, snakes that is telling his location, snakes that is exposing his military whereabouts. He already eliminated those snakes, about 6 of them I heard. But the Oromo side needs to step up too and eliminate their snakes. While we do that, when we come next, we the Oromo people, we try Ethiopia 6 times. Every 6th time, at the finish line, we were told we're gonna share power. We're gonna do that peaceful promised land Ethiopia, but that Ethiopia is never real. From day one, Ethiopia, when it came, we believe it's a program. It's not even a country. It's a program for a whole bunch of people to come and make investment on it and eat off of it, while the natives starve. And the natives go on CNN, feed my starving Ethiopians. So we wanted all of that for all of that to cut off.
Exactly. It has to be in the
Tigray will not be the smallest country in the world if Tigray gets that independence. With 3 to 6 million is what you guys get attacked with. Tigray
Mark's,
population is somewhere between 3 to 6 million. That really don't matter if people have ready to live, they're ready to enjoy their freedom. So we, the Oromo people, too, we're not gonna be small. Look at all these small countries around the world. Why did they get their independence? Because they wanted the killings to stop.
exactly.
So anybody that grabs this Ethiopia prime minister or Ethiopia's leader title, he's gonna slaughter people again. Whether this guy is gonna be Oromo or Tigray or Afar or Beshangul, or God willing, he's not gonna be Amara, because that one he already demonstrated despot without even having a power. So Ethiopia is a no good thing. So should we? You think Oromos and the Tigray should agree on Article 39 and end Ethiopia, and it should be a Republic of Tigray, Republic of Oromia? Let it be break up like Congo, you know. Congo slaughtered and slaughtered millions and millions and millions of people, and eventually they broke up Congo.
Congo DRC and Congo Brazil.
Right. So what do you think? Should we agree on Article 39? And this time
100%.
around, you guys stop at Barda. Don't come to our Finfinne. Don't come to our capital city like 1991. Start funny stuff again.
If we have to come, it should be on the agreement OLA and TPLF.
Yeah.
So for the if we have to come, or if TPLF or Tigray government, well, there is no as such as TPLF at this point, because all the political parties in Tigray came to one consensus, which is one country or Tigray Republic is on the side. So it's not about TPLF at this point. It's about Tigray. It's about TDF. TDF, we call it Tigray Defense Force. So the Oromo, the same still OLA, but it's Oromo Liberation Army. So it's not about OLA as a party. It's about the people representing. So if we agree on calling Article 39, which is eventually that's what it's going to be, and head into reform, then we could go up to Addis, because the snakes that you call them are still in Addis. So biting from Addis, spitting its poison from Addis.
If you guys don't come to Addis, we will kindly take care of the snakes.
Can you?
Yeah, certainly easy.
Let it be.
Very easy.
No problem.
The only problem.
Let me tell you.
The only problem is this, Mikey. The only problem is this. We know the godfather of Africa, the white guy, will come and he will say, I will support you. Why don't you rule Ethiopia again? He's not going to say that to Oromo, because Oromo is a large population. They always say to a small population, which is very easy to negotiate with a small population. So when a NATO or somebody goes to, when they go to a small population and they tell them, go to Addis, kill everybody, we'll give you the bullets, keep killing everybody. But what if that little guy comes back and does that again? Because they do this in Africa over and over.
Yeah, they do that all the time. But what to the point what she said, well, if you are going to take care of controlling Addis and grabbing the snake and take it out of the palace, whatever it is, of course, as to believe it is historical land belongs to Oromo, which is Finfinne is in the middle of Oromia. If you see the map, I think I was listening to Military and Foreign Affairs Network guy. He was explaining it today. He was saying clearly you could see Addis lie in the middle of Oromia, which is in the land of Oromia. So that automatically and naturally will give you the ownership of Addis into Finfinne. Yes, we know that. But listen, apart from the numbers, I don't believe on numbers anyway. So America is smaller than China, or whatever. Israel is smaller than all the Arabs, and TPLF was smaller than Derg or Mengistu.
It's just that when you look at third world, whether it's Asia or South America or Africa, when you look at third world, somehow somebody with a smaller population, like say in third place or in fourth place, is ruling the first population and the second population.
You know why? Because it is a matter of survival. They feel always to be subjugated, the target. So because of that, because of their fear of subjugation or minority, living as a minority, which is most of the time, if you see the genocides, all that committed in the world, including Rwanda's and other countries you could call, it is the majority that takes against the minority normally. So minority doesn't take on majorities to be exterminated or genocide upon. So it's a difference. I don't think TPLF took or did genocide on the Oromo people. No, it was in a political clash with the TPLF and OLF. Yes, that's another thing. But what brought the minorities into power is the fear that the majority might swallow them. So this is the problem. But if there is confidence between the Oromo and the Tigray and the other nations and nationalities, why not? Oromo can take charge. That's what happened 3 years ago. The TPLF left power thinking the Oromo majority prime minister would make good to everybody because, well, the Oromo request was power, well, not only power, but the free nation, whatever choice, self-determination, all that stuff. But that was the step that TPLF took or withdrew from power, then let it go to the Oromos. But that was a mistake, Oromo. So like you said, the child of a Shua mentality or the Mahara mentality. But if you could take over in Addis, or you could make huge change, we don't mind. We are in the north anyway. So we could stay, we could liberate ourselves. That's not the problem. Tigray will do, and Tigray is capable. So it could do that way. But I doubt OLA by itself or TPLF by itself could do the job to dismantle the snake. So if TPLF has to come to Addis, make no mistake, many people would interpret this wrongly, and many people are listening to Abiy Ahmed saying that TPLF wants to come back to grab power. No, in a million years, it will never happen again. Tagarus will never let that happen. If TPLF wants, then it would go and rule Shoa, whatever. So that would not represent Tigray. We will never, if we come, then it is to dismantle the central snake in order to liberate ourselves, in order to go to the republic, whatever cost we have. So that's the thing. If we agree, or if the TPLF and the OLA agrees on solidarity to fight, well, that's what happened. Eritrea and Ethiopia agreed now. Imagine, and if a military front, joint military to attack or to destroy Tigray, at the same time to destroy OLA. So we could do the same as Tagarus and Oromos, which is the Oromo nationalist and Tigray nationalism, all together could defend their position. Then afterwards, you would live with Addis, we have no problem there. So there are Tagarus lives in Addis, Oromo can accommodate that. Oromo lives with everybody. Anyways, there is no better than Oromo that could live with all the nations and nationalities. Like I said, there are 12 million Amhara nationalities lives in Oromia. So there is no problem. We have no concern on that. So, but our concern is, can the OLA break that chain, then control Addis? That's my doubt. I don't know if you say 100%. Yes, okay, but we'll see with the advancement. But I would believe it needs solidarity, it needs coalition, it needs military agreement like Isaias and Abiy did to crush the Tagarus and the Oromo movement. So the TPLF and the OLA could make this kind of agreement, then help each other, including in the war. That's what I would say. Then afterwards, Oromo could decide on its own, Tigray could decide on its own, go to Article 39, do referendum, then publish republic.
Right. So I completely agree with all these statements that you're saying. My only concern is the third party. Who the third party is gonna uplift? Whomever the third party gonna uplift is gonna create bloodshed again in the region, because he will have enough bullets to do that.
Yes.
With that, my question for you, Mickey, since you've been in the war, why is Sudan inside Ethiopia?
Well, you see, it's about interest. Why is the Amhara militia is inside Tigray? Tell me. Why is Eritrea and Tigray? All they have their own interest. We have no problem if Sudan is in Ethiopia for its own cause. Abiy Ahmed already made it clear in the parliament last week. He said, because Eritrea has a concern in Tigray because of the TPLF, Then he let the Eritrean forces to get into Tigray. Then the Sudanese said they have concern and they have historic land there. That's what they asked. So I don't think it is wrong for Sudan, as long as, well, if it's not wrong for Amhara people to grab Oromia land and Tigray land, then Sudan have the right to grab Amhara land, whatever its land it believes its own. So I have no problem with that. I don't think that is the concern for us. The third party has its own interest, including with the hydro dam, all that stuff. Now that's dead for us as Tagars, because that hydro dam made us pay the heaviest price. We are in the fight for existence. We are in the survival mood because of that. We shouldn't even talk on that project. So
True.
Until that, I don't mind, because the Amharas are dismantling Tigray as a whole, including its population. Why do I care about a dam that has a water or that brings electricity while Tigrayans are dying, while Oromos are dying? So it shouldn't be Oromos and Tigray's kind of issue. It's not our issue. It could be Amhara's issue. It could be Addis Ababa's issue, because they are the ones who would benefit from it, and they are the ones who's using it as if it's a national sensation to stay in power.
I mean, the dam was the initiative of the Tigray. The Tigrays initiated the dam, weren't they?
Not the Tigray people. So make a distinction. That's what I say. It is a PRDF, which is Meles was TPLF. So it never been Tigray's intention. Tigray needs its own electric dam in its own backyard. We have lots of woods, we have lots of mountains. We could do that way. Why should we go to Benshangul to get electric power? But Meles or the TPLF's calculation and EPRDF's calculation was one Ethiopia, one economic and political society could be built. Then the difference could solve. No, that will never happen in a country that has not one even majority, homogeneity. No, in Ethiopia, there are 84 nationalities. You cannot satisfy all. That's the clash. Besides, you know it, Menelik built Ethiopia at the bloodshed by destroying the Oromos, by killing the Tagars, everything. So it never been the agreement, it never been the will of the Oromo to have this kind of Ethiopia. So that is the discord, I mean the agreement. It was the Amhara's Ethiopia. It never been Tigray's Ethiopia. It never been the Oromo's Ethiopia. It never been Somali. Somali, forget it, 1980, I mean 53. Somali even to Haile Selassie as a gift. Look at this. So this is what the clash erupted. So it never been the Tigray's question. Of course, the political brass was thinking what big Ethiopia, Empire Ethiopia, that Ethiopia fall on top of Tigray and it's crashing Tigray. That was wrong in a way. So it shouldn't be that way. So we do not care about the hydro dam now, because that hydro dam is costing us life as a Tagar. So the third party cannot decide what is happening. But in another way, if you see it, well, we could see it in a bright side. The third party could help the cost of Oromo Liberation Army, the cost of Tigray Liberation, I mean Tigray Defense Army, in order to squish these guys, because they are stretched. The Sudanese are fighting there, so the Amhara militia cannot do nothing. Then we could hold on the northern front, and you could hold on the southern front. The western front is Egypt and Sudan, which has no problem with you, has no problem with Tigray. That has a problem only with the centralist Amhara elite. So we should embrace that one as a gift, not as an against.
For sure.
So
for sure.
Our advantage.
I hope that happens, man. Last question.
It will. It is happening.
Last question.
Okay.
You know, Facebook world, the East African media world shaken up 2 days ago when the Oromo Army commander said Ethiopia has a failed state. But the Ethiopian government been telling us for like the last 9 months or so that he's been dead, he's been killed, we killed him. But the Oromos, we don't believe them. So he said Ethiopia has a failed state. In your opinion, is Ethiopia a failed state at this time? Are we very close to Ethiopia failing? Like what percentage of Ethiopia is failed? How much percentage of Ethiopia is Abiy holding on to right now?
For me, Ethiopia is 100% state. I agree with John Morrow. Ethiopia has been failed for 3 years. If he cannot restore rule and order, that's what failed state means. If you cannot own or govern the whole Oromia with 40 million people, that's a failed state. If you have a war in your own, one of the states or one of the provinces, inviting 4 countries, that is failed state. The only thing left is dismantling Ethiopia completely. And that will follow.
That's for sure. For sure. I'm very much near there too. Since I believe Ethiopia never stood on herself, since Ethiopia never stood by herself, so until it's completely failed, I wouldn't believe it's a failed state, because whomever makes sure that Ethiopia stands is still there funding everybody. Literally, TPLF is getting funding, Abiy is getting funding, Sudan is getting funding, Fano is getting separate funding, Israel is getting funding. Hell, we even see some difference in our own Oromo Liberation Army. It looks like we're getting funding. So the entire region is funded by a third party. Would you believe that? Would you believe everybody got, some sort of handout to keep up this war?
But
So
we decide.
to make sure this is strategic policies in the region works it out.
Yes.
We do decide, but then they'll kill our leaders, and then we get confused. We don't know which way to turn one day.
I will tell you one thing. I think it's like an advice for the Oromo brothers and sisters there. Look, as Tagars, the biggest asset we have is everybody is dispensable or not indispensable. So this is what you have to underline. As Oromos, your aspiration is the Oromo coast. It doesn't matter Jalmo is gone, or Obo Daud Ibsa is gone, or Debrecen is gone, or Kachorada is gone. It should be you are Jalmoro. So the Oromo generation should succeed that. That's the aspiration.
We're very good at that.
Well, we do keep, of course, our elite.
We're very good at keeping the cause alive. We're very good at keeping the cause alive. Whether in diaspora or in Africa, anywhere, we will keep the cause alive.
Yeah.
But we want to get the victory at one point, you know what I mean?
Yes, it should be. Of course, Jalmoro has to stay, but for some reason, if Jalmoro is gone, then it shouldn't be stopped. His vision should continue with another.
It will continue. So that's right. It will continue.
Tigray. Three brilliant leaders. They just executed them. And but does Tigray collapse? No. The Tigrayan elite have capability replacing them, including Dr. Debrecen. If he's gone, then another Debrecen will come out. So that's how we should shape it. So we should not depend on individuals. So they could kill individuals, but they cannot kill the whole Oromo mentality, the whole Oromo quest. Never. So we have endless kind of succession. So then we could get to where we are. That's what they were saying last time. You remember?
You guys do have advantage in terms of cleaning up the snakes faster. Yeah, you guys do have advantage in terms of stopping the snakes faster.
So we have to find those experiences in both sides. The Oromo has an advantage, bigger population and loss of use. So the Oromo Liberation Army could enlist more use, more power. Then Tigray, what it has limited resource, can use it effectively as well. So we could combine it, then bolt out the snake, then we decide on our future and our destiny.
For sure. In conclusion, would you say dismantle Ethiopia and Republic of Tigray is the way, Republic of Oromia is the way, and other small nations, they can choose to be part of Oromo Republic or Tigray Republic, or they can get their own republic?
Yes, true. I don't believe in dismantling Ethiopia. Ethiopia is dismantling itself. So don't put me
you don't want to take responsibility for it.
Ethiopia is suicidal, so it's dismantling itself, especially the Shawa mentality, which is Abiy represents or Jula represents, and the Amhara mentality, which is the Amhara elite represents. Those are the ones who are dismantling Ethiopia or killing Ethiopia by letting invaders coming into Ethiopia by bombarding their own population. So bombarding Ethiopia for the sake of Ethiopia is wrong. That's the problem. So the way out would be Republic of Oromia or Republic of Tigray, but we have to go into referendum. To do that,
Right.
until the elite, that is the snake, you call it. Anyways, that's the best expression. We're not dismantling Ethiopia. We are in that land. We're not being dismantled. We are gonna live there. Anyways, it's like
Right.
Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia country, now we have beautiful seven countries. And the Congo Brazzaville and Congo Kinshasa, they live side by side. So
For
you
sure.
will have Republic of Oromia, you will have Republic of Tigray. This is not dismantling, it's disintegrating, which is, there would be many countries. Like you said,
It's a real freedom. It's a real freedom.
Exactly. More freedom, more nations. It's vibrant. It's like you have a family. You have two brothers and sisters. They all get married. Right. They will have their own house. But the Amhara elite is afraid because it cannot stand on its own feet. That's the problem. If you let Tigray to stay there, it will have its own country. If you let
the Amaras enjoy opening up shops in other people's region, and they don't allow anybody to open up shops in their region,
including grabbing land. Yep, that's the question. That's what you call him. It's like the same. Those funders giving money to everybody. The Amhara is using in Ethiopia too, giving money or funding every nationality, small ones. Then it become like a slave, like Burhanu Jula, all that stuff, including from Oromia, including from Tigray. There are puppets, there are bandas.
Well, I hope, Mickey, I hope the future Tigray leaders, they don't do bad faith negotiation like the past Tigray leaders did. We're willing to do some sort of negotiation and forgiveness this time. We're not going to put our guns down. We made a mistake. Exactly. We put our guns down and negotiated previously. But in the future, at least my generation, we're not going to have that kind of advice anymore. Put your guns down and go to meetings and get shot. That is kind of done in the Oromo politics too. And we're not going to clap our hands for snakes. So what Mallas used to do is he uses Oromo snakes to sell Oromo lands back in the days, but all of that is dead and gone now. But in the future, you keep up a strong war in the north. We'll keep up a strong war in the central Ethiopia.
Yeah.
And Ethiopia will be gone. The program of Ethiopia will be gone very soon. And when we go for our independence, I will tell my Oromo teams, my Oromo community, my Oromo friends, have integrity. Don't sell out East Africa for aids and financial grants and other promises that you will rule the entire East Africa. When third party tells you, any Oromo person, that you will rule the entire East Africa, I will tell all my Oromo brothers and sisters, you don't have to rule the entire East Africa. Just focus on your Oromo. Let the brothers of Tigray have peace in Tigray. Let the brothers of Somalis have peace in Somalia. Let the little Djibouti have her little Djibouti peace. The little Afaris have their little Afari peace. The crazy Amaras have their crazy, whatever they do in their Gondar area. Let them be there. Let them be them. It's time for real freedom. It's time not to act like the African Union, like they are really a union when somebody from NATO always have to sit in their meetings and monitor them. So we don't have to be a fake teams and fake groups anymore. So just advise your Tigray brothers and sisters, go negotiate in good faith. Because if you do negotiate in bad faith, it will catch up to you very soon. It might take 2 years, 4 years, 10 years. The same child that you raised, the same child you thought had to be a killer, turns around and it starts killing you. So things like that will go down. And I hope the continent of Africa wakes up like the continent of Europe and stops killing themselves. Because Africa did not kill herself as much as Europe killed herself. Europe kills in millions, Africa kills in thousands. When thousands added up, they become millions. When millions get added up, they become billions. So that's how it goes. I say, stay peace. I appreciate you for coming through, Mikey. Let's just stay in touch. Major events come in East Africa. I wish to have you so we can analyze it together on Oromo affairs, and we can call it Tigray affairs to the next time. Thank you for sharing that amazing bodyguard, the executive bodyguard experience that you told me about. I appreciate it. Anything you want to say, you can say it. Go ahead. And we end the show here.
the same what she said. So we shouldn't repeat the mistakes that we made in the past. That is past. So let us heal from that. New chapter has opened by its own, and that is upon us to decide. So instead of capitalizing on the differences on the past, or counting or complaining on the past, capitalize on the future, common aspiration, common destiny, common wish that we have as a nation of Oromia, as a nation of Tigray. The only we aspire is free and free and free Tigray. The Oromo brothers and sisters, so that's what we have in common. The Amhara elite or the Showa elite wishes squished, subjugated Ethiopia that uses and serves its own interest. So we should never give to that up. So we should work on the future, and we should hold hand to hand and fight side by side. Our enemies are creating an ally to crush us as a people. It's a matter of survival. It's not luxury we're talking about. So it's about survival. It's about destiny that we have to fight together, and we have to decide together. So go forward, go for a referendum, and kick Article 39.
Kick Article 39. Break them up.
Exactly.
Hey, you take number 3, go up north. I will take number 9 and go down south. Article 39 broke apart.
Exactly, that's how it is. Pull it around. The middle is the only loser.
For sure. I appreciate it, brother.
So there is no hard feelings. Oromo, Tigray brothers and sisters. The Tigray population loves the Oromo population. Well, including the Amhara population, except for the puppet elite, for the snake elites. So we all need peace. We all need future that our kids could live in peace and aspire what they want to their dream. So we have to work together, and we have to capitalize on those in common that we have, and to exist at the same time. So we have to fight side by side, help each other, including the protest, the diplomacy, advocacy, and the lobbying, everything. So we should work together. Otherwise, we cannot clap separately. So if we clap 100%. Together, then we make a difference. Look what we did as a Tagaro. Imagine, worldwide protest. So we bring the world to focus. So the Oromo could do the same. You guys did it last year, I remember. Minnesota, you block all the highways, everything. So we could do it together. So we can rock the world and create our own peaceful world. So let us work together.
I appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening from America, and a bright, beautiful day in Africa and Middle East and Europe. Peace.
Peace.
Jabbilota ko ya jabbilota odaa jala kan nama nyaatu nu keessa jira. Jabbilota ko ya jabbilota odaa jala kan nama nyaatu nu keessa jira. Amalo Masangamala pambatu talba faca fakatati tokko du'e tokkon taa'u wal gaggalaa fakatati yemmulee agarbatiisa waan ofii maaltu gadhiisa masangamala pambatu talba faca fakatati tokko nyaatee tokkon taa'u wal gaggalaa fakatati yemmulee agarbatiisa waan ofii maaltu gadhiisa